Hello, welcome to this month's video message. Well, the clocks have gone forward, so summer is definitely here. Well, perhaps not quite, although over the last few weeks I have been enjoying some of the weather as I've continued my travels across the county and visiting more of the station areas and meeting people and hearing about the challenges that you face. I've also been speaking at first and second line supervisors meetings, which have been really great seminars, giving the opportunity for me and other members of the executive team and the PCC to speak to first and line supervisors about their role, about the challenges they face, and providing some information, such as information on professional standards and new initiatives such as Track My Crime. During those seminars, I've talked about some of the things that motivate me: justice, a sense of fairness, the abuse of power, protecting people who are vulnerable from harm, and a real sense of duty that has guided me throughout my policing career. And I suppose last week's, those murderous events in Westminster, have really thrown into relief some of those issues that I feel about sense of fairness and justice, the abuse of power, and our sense of duty. And I was really touched by the remembrance that took place last week and in the days since, when we remembered our colleague Keith Palmer and the sacrifice that he made in the line of duty. I've also been really touched, and I know you have, by the outpouring of support that the public have given to us, not just nationally and at the locations down in Westminster, but also far more locally, here in the county area, where people have handed in items and given letters of support to say thank you for the work that we do and that the service does as a whole. That's been really touching and gives us a sense of the support that we have in our community on a daily basis. I got word of the events in Westminster as I was taking part in the opening of the renamed Fire and Police Headquarters here at Nettleham, an event which marked a milestone in our blue light work and has seen the welcoming of fire and rescue staff from the site at South Park who have joined us here and are going to be working very closely in the days, weeks and months ahead. I really feel that it's not just a question of co-locating, but also affords us the opportunity as two services who play important roles in our communities to work more closely together, to share good practice and good ideas, and to work together to provide the best service that we can to our public. And this is one step in what has been a long journey, and we've seen co-location in other parts of the county area, and we'll see one of our biggest projects, the Blue Light Campus, where we work with fire, rescue, and indeed with the ambulance service down at South Park, coming to fruition over the next couple of years. But certainly last week was a day of celebration and a welcoming to our colleagues from Fire and Rescue. I've also been involved in discussions and chairing our Wellbeing Board, and I wanted to spend a few minutes talking to you about my feelings in terms of well-being and how much of a commitment it is from me personally and an objective that I have for the organisation in my tenure as Chief Constable. I have two broad principles, and I've mentioned them before in previous video messages: that quality of service that we deliver to the public and the closing of the gap of expectations. And secondly, and the one I want to talk about now, the investment that I feel I can make and should make and intend to make in you, the people in the organisation. Our wellbeing approach has 4 strands, and we discussed them at the most recent meeting. They are health, resilience, growth, and happiness. And I really welcome your involvement, your ideas, and working with me to develop areas in each of those 4 strands as we take forward a wellbeing agenda that is hopefully designed to ensure that you, members of the staff, feel better about coming to work, feel better at work, and are able to enjoy being part of Lincolnshire Police. So things such as our health. Well, I feel very strongly that we can be more active and that I can encourage and support you to be more active. And whilst that might start within the realm of giving support to those that are involved in recognised sport, I want to broaden that out to the whole organisation. And I would welcome dialogue with you and discussions with you as to how that could actually work. If, for example, I was prepared to give 2 days a year if you were being involved in some kind of activity. How could we juggle that with the resources that we have? I feel that there's payback there and it's something that I could do. and I'm willing to work with you to see how we can do it. When it comes to resilience, sometimes that can be a byproduct of other things. But there's plenty of research out there that shows that people feel more resilient and are more resilient the more they are connected with the driving mission and goals of their organisation. Now for us, protecting people from harm, really delivering a service where we can show that the vulnerable in our communities are protected from those that seek to cause them danger and harm, is something that speaks to all of us. And the more that I can do to help connect people to that driving mission, then the more that will improve people's resilience. And I see that as a great organisational thing, of course, but I also see it as a really superb goal to have personally and individually. Now, when it comes to growth, I know that because of the financial situation, it's been difficult for people to get support to be involved in things such as courses of study or their own self-development. Well, I'm really keen to look at ways in which we can perhaps reverse some of that trend and where I can help support you to grow within the organisation and outside of the organisation. And there are lots of different ways in which I think that can be achieved. And finally, there's happiness. I think it's really important that we feel good about being here in Lincolnshire Police. And I know that for some that's really stressful. I know for some that the activity that we're involved in, the job we have to do, can be really difficult and demanding. And the events of last week really highlight how difficult that can be. I also believe that we can find the rewarding parts of our role and that those rewarding parts can make us happy. And so I'll be exploring ways with you and with others as to how an understanding of happiness and how a recognition of that can be something that we can bring to our daily lives. I really look forward to working with you on that agenda and to delivering improvements around well-being right across the whole workforce. I'd like to finish with a couple of things. One is, and it's for my own health and well-being, I should say happy birthday to my mother and to my auntie, because if I don't, I can imagine that will significantly affect me in the future. So a big birthday wishes to both of them. I'd also like to say thank you to a colleague of ours who is retiring in the next couple of weeks. Steve Woodcock has been a real stalwart member of the volunteering force through his role in the Special Constabulary, and as the Assistant Officer for Special Constabulary within the executive team, he has been a real contributor to the direction of the organisation. I'd really like to wish Steve all the very best from us in the executive team and the whole force, and say a big thank you for his contribution to Lincolnshire Police. Thank you very much. I'll see you next time.